DeAndre Brown. The 2008 New Orleans Bowl was supposed to be a celebration for Southern Miss receiver DeAndre Brown. Instead, it became the site of one of the most visually disturbing injuries ever broadcast on national television. During the game, Brown went up for a contested jump ball in the end zone, battling with defenders for position. As Brown came down from his jump, his foot landed awkwardly on another player's leg, causing his lower leg to snap with a compound fracture. The bone broke through the skin, and Brown immediately grabbed his mangled leg in shock and agony. The broadcast cameras caught everything the break, Brown's horrified reaction, and the bone visibly protruding from his leg. Fans in the Superdome and millions watching at home gasped in horror. Medical staff rushed onto the field with blankets to shield the injury from view as they stabilized Brown for transport. The injury was so graphic that broadcasters apologized for showing the replays. Brown underwent immediate surgery to repair the fracture, which required pins and extensive reconstruction. His football career was over, and he faced months of painful rehabilitation just to walk normally again. The injury became one of the most replayed moments in college football, though many networks eventually stopped showing it due to its graphic nature. Southern Miss fans and players still remember that moment vividly, and it served as a stark reminder of how quickly celebration can turn to tragedy in football. Brown eventually recovered and moved on with his life, but that image of him holding his broken leg remains etched in college football's collective memory. If you're shocked by what you just heard and want to see more incredible stories from college football history, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. These stories need to be told. LeGrand. On October 16, 2010, Rutgers defensive tackle LeGrand lined up for what seemed like a routine kickoff return against Army. The junior was having a solid season, and this homecoming game was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it became the day that changed his life forever. As LeGrand went in to make a tackle on the kickoff return, he led with his helmet in a collision that looked routine at first. But immediately after contact, LeGrand lay motionless on the field. The crowd at MetLife Stadium fell eerily silent as medical personnel rushed onto the field. It took over 10 minutes to stabilize him before he was carefully placed on a stretcher and taken off the field. What fans didn't know yet was that LeGrand had suffered a severe spinal cord injury that left him paralyzed from the neck down. The injury was captured on live television, and replays showed the devastating moment his helmet made contact, compressing his spine at the C3 and C4 vertebrae. The aftermath was immediate and overwhelming. Rutgers retired LeGrand's number 52, and he became a symbol of courage and resilience. Despite doctors initially saying he would never breathe independently again, LeGrand defied the odds, regaining the ability to stand with assistance and becoming a motivational speaker. His story sparked nationwide conversations about spinal injuries in football and raised millions for spinal cord research. To this day, LeGrand remains one of the most inspirational figures in college football history, proving that some victories happen far from the field. Chucky Mullins. Roy Lee Chucky Mullins was a walk-on defensive back for Ole Miss who had earned a scholarship through sheer determination and heart. Standing just 5 feet 9 inches, Mullins was known for his fearless playing style and willingness to sacrifice his body for his team. On October 28, 1989, during a game against Vanderbilt, that fearlessness would cost him everything. In the fourth quarter, Vanderbilt running back Brad Gaines broke through the line, and Mullins came in to make the tackle. He lowered his head and drove it directly into Gaines' thigh in a head-first collision that echoed through the stadium. Mullins immediately went limp and collapsed to the turf, motionless. Medical staff rushed to the scene, and the gravity of the situation became clear. Mullins had suffered a catastrophic cervical spine injury that left him paralyzed from the neck down. He was rushed to the hospital, where doctors confirmed the injury had severed his spinal cord at the C4 vertebra. He would never walk, move his arms, or play football again. The Ole Miss community rallied around Mullins in an extraordinary way. He was given a standing ovation when he returned to the stadium in his wheelchair, and the Chucky Mullins Courage Award was established in his honor. Tragically, Mullins died on May 6, 1991, less than 2 years after his injury due to complications from a blood clot. He was only 20 years old. His number 38 is the only football number retired by Ole Miss, and his legacy sparked serious conversations about tackling techniques and player safety that continue today. Chucky Mullins gave everything to the game he loved, and college football will never forget his sacrifice. Willis McGahee. The 2003 Fiesta Bowl was supposed to be Willis McGahee's coronation. The Miami Hurricanes running back had rushed for over 1,600 yards and 28 touchdowns that season, and was projected as a top 5 NFL draft pick. Standing between Miami and a national championship was Ohio State, and McGahee was ready to put on a show. Instead, he suffered one of the most devastating injuries ever broadcast on national television. Late in the fourth quarter, with Miami trailing, McGahee took a handoff and burst through the line. As he was being tackled, Ohio State safety Will Allen dove low, while linebacker C.A. Grant hit him high. McGahee's knee buckled grotesquely, bending in directions knees should never bend. He immediately grabbed his leg and writhed in pain as the ball popped loose. Replays showed the horrifying moment his knee gave way, and even the announcers fell silent. Medical staff rushed to the field, and McGahee was carted off in obvious agony. The diagnosis was devastating. Torn ACL, MCL, and PCL, essentially every major ligament in his left knee had been destroyed. McGahee's injury cast a shadow over the rest of the game, which Miami would ultimately lose. His NFL draft stock plummeted from a guaranteed top 5 pick to the first round's final selection by the Buffalo Bills, costing him millions. However, McGahee defied expectations, making a full recovery and going on to rush for over 8,000 yards in an 11-year NFL career. His injury remains one of the most replayed and discussed in college football history, and it changed how teams evaluate injured players in the draft. McGahee's resilience turned a career-threatening moment into just a chapter in a remarkable football story. McKenzie Milton wasn't just UCF's quarterback, he was the face of their program and the architect of their 25-game winning streak. The 5'11" signal caller had led the Knights to an undefeated season in 2017 and was doing it again in 2018. On November 23rd, during a game against South Florida, Milton scrambled out of the pocket and was tackled. It looked like a normal play. It was anything but. As Milton was brought down, his right leg twisted violently beneath a defender's weight. His knee dislocated completely, but the real horror was internal. The injury tore his popliteal artery, the major blood vessel supplying his lower leg. Without immediate blood flow, Milton risked losing his leg entirely. He was rushed into emergency surgery, where doctors worked frantically to restore circulation and repair the arterial damage. The surgery lasted hours, and Milton required multiple follow-up procedures to save his leg. The nerve damage was so extensive that doctors couldn't guarantee he would ever walk normally again, let alone play football. The college football world was stunned. Milton's injury made national headlines not just because of who he was, but because of how close he came to amputation. He spent the next 2 years in grueling rehabilitation, relearning how to walk and move. Miraculously, in 2020, Milton returned to football at Florida State, completing passes and proving that miracles do happen. His comeback is considered one of the greatest in sports history. UCF retired his number 10, and his story became a testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome seemingly impossible odds. Devon Walker. Tulane safety Devon Walker was living his dream in 2012, playing Division I football for his hometown team. On September 8th, during a game against Tulsa, Walker went up to defend a pass over the middle. At the exact same moment, his teammate came from another angle to make the same play. The two collided helmet to helmet in a sickening crash that's every player's nightmare. Walker collapsed immediately and didn't move. Medical personnel rushed onto the field, and it quickly became clear this was a catastrophic injury. Walker had suffered a fractured cervical spine that left him paralyzed from the neck down with no movement in his limbs. He was airlifted to a nearby hospital where doctors confirmed the devastating news he would never play football again, and his ability to ever move independently was uncertain. The collision was a freak accident, the kind that reminds us how dangerous football can be even when players are doing everything right. The response from the football community was overwhelming. The New Orleans Saints signed Walker to a symbolic contract, making him an honorary member of their team. Tulane established a scholarship fund in his name, and players across the country wore his number 18 in tribute. Walker's injury reignited debates about helmet-to-helmet contact rules and led to stricter enforcement of safety protocols. Though Walker has regained some limited movement through therapy, he remains paralyzed and uses a wheelchair. His courage and positive attitude in the face of unimaginable adversity have inspired thousands, proving that true strength isn't measured by what happens on the field. Each of these players gave everything, and in some cases, they gave too much. Their stories have changed rules, sparked important conversations about safety, and inspired millions with their courage in the face of unimaginable adversity. Which of these injuries do you remember watching live? And what do you think college football still needs to do to protect its players? Let us know in the comments below. If you found these stories powerful and want more deep dives into college football history, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload.